Thank you for agreeing to take part in these videos, Ed. For the benefit of viewers, please could you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Ed Kemp, and I'm one of the co-founders of Rugby Rocks. We are a Rugby Sevens festival brand. We have 3 festivals: London, Yorkshire, and Edinburgh, that take place every year between May and July. We founded 3.5 years ago, and now includes sevens, tens, touch, netball, and as of next summer, lacrosse as well.
Okay. Can you explain why you agreed to take part in these videos?
Well, we set the company up because 4 years ago now, rugby was announced that it would be part of the 2016 Olympic programme, and we saw there was huge growth in the sport, and we wanted to provide a platform for everybody. So whether it's teams that come over for a stag do and just want to throw a ball around with their mates and have a party afterwards, or whether it was teams that take the game very seriously as an end of season tour for their team. So there's a competition for every single level of ability, male and female, and the aim is to keep increasing that. So last year we introduced tens and vets tens, obviously for the slightly older players. And we'll keep expanding the number of tournaments until we have something for everybody.
Currently, how difficult have you found it to establish yourself and your tournament within the game?
Well, I think we were fortunate in our timing of when we started as a festival organiser. We immediately partnered up with the National Sevens Series, which, although it doesn't exist today, was for us a real stepping stone in getting the festivals off the ground. So immediately we had some of the best teams in the country, such as the British Army, coming to our events, which helped when talking to sponsors and trying to promote the event. I think also we had a unique position in the market. Our first year we had bands such as Feeder and Just Jack that came and played on the music side of the event, which was a benefit and helped us stand out from the crowd, really.
Okay. Now, obviously, the National Sevens Series only lasted a year. That was quickly followed up by the Super 7 Series. How did that impact you in your first year, and particularly in the second year when the Super Series didn't go to Rugby Rocks?
We still had very strong teams playing at the elite end of the competition, and I think the market actually grew an awful lot in those first 3 years. So the pool of teams that were coming to the event grew. So we weren't really impacted hugely. We had 56 teams in 2010. That grew to 110 teams in 2011, and then 165 teams last summer in our London event. Edinburgh went from 25 teams in the first year. Last year it went to 50. So in terms of numbers, participation numbers, it had no impact. Obviously, from a spectator perspective, it's nice to have the strong quality teams there. But I mean, we still had teams like Isha, the British Army, contesting. So it was still a very, very strong tournament at the highest level.
Just staying on the focus on the Super Series, our understanding is the Super Series doesn't look like it's going to be happening in 2013. Given your involvement in its early years, do you think there's a market or a need to have a sort of a top-tier elite competition that runs throughout the season? Is that something that you would embrace if you were given the opportunity to take that on board again?
Yeah, it's definitely something that I think is worthwhile. I think purely from the players' perspective, I think it gives them a focus throughout the summer. I think people enjoy competing and earning points across the series. From our perspective, we enjoy running a series. We enjoyed it in the first few years, working with other tournaments such as West Country Sevens, Newquay Sevens, and Manchester Sevens. So just purely from an enjoyment perspective, I think in terms of player development, I think there's a benefit there too. I think Ben Ryan, the England coach, has been to Rugby Rocks on a number of occasions, and I think he's picked a few players from there that he's spotted, like Marco De Jovi. Simon Hunt were two, I think, that were taken, that he'd had a look at our events. In terms of how it impacts us commercially, at the moment there isn't really a huge benefit from that. But I think it's something that can be developed over a long period of time. I think it's not something that you can create in 2 or 3 years. I think it's more a sort of 10-year, 15-year development.
And looking at Rugby Rocks as last year you grew to 3 tournaments.
Yeah.
The suggestion that I'm proposing is that maybe there's an opportunity for you to, in effect, grow your own series. Is that something you're looking at, or is that something that you're not quite focused on just
It's
yet?
something that we've considered. It's not something that we'd want to do as formally, perhaps, as series have been done in the past. It might be something that we would do in a more on a looser basis, inviting maybe the top teams, but also having it open for anybody to sort of throw their hat into the ring and have a go. So, but yeah, the idea of encouraging teams to participate across 3 tournaments and have an overall series prize is something that we would look at. But I think we're more interested as well in creating almost a loyalty program for teams that come to all 3 events. So that might be getting discounts on entry. It might be benefits from our sponsors such as Puma and Optimum Nutrition and Nando's. Rather than necessarily having something that's very, very structured and rigid as a series.
Going back to looking at Rugby Rocks as an event, how important do you think it is to create, say, an event, sort of the music side of what you do, separate from the actual rugby? How does that impact your business?
It's hugely important. We obviously are a festival that appeals to sports players, sports fans, but there's also, we noticed this in particular in 2011, a demographic that comes to our events that has no particular interest in sport, but is actually very much into the lifestyle elements of it. And that was one of the sort of key areas that we work on with our principal sponsor, Puma, in that there's obviously the interest from their point of view in the sports side, but also the social element in the evening and the sort of fusion of those two. We had a lot of people coming down and just enjoying things like the Pims bus and the merry-go-rounds and things like that we had down at the London Festival this year. And we also broadcast live sports on the big screen as well, and some people come to enjoy a beer and just watch the international matches on there.
Okay. How difficult do you think it is to attract a sort of non-rugby specific audience to your event? Is it important to your event, or is very much the sports the core focus of what you're doing, and you're building the music around that?
It's important to us to attract a non-rugby crowd as well. It has, like I said, I think the first 2 years it was more of a sports-based audience, and when, like I said, we noticed that transition this year, especially in London, because that's now into its 3rd year. We noticed a lot more people coming down that weren't interested in the sport as much as some of the attendees from the previous 2 years. But all elements are equally as important, and I say that about the sports as well. The elite teams are important to us, but so are the guys that are just coming down who only play 1 tournament a year and just want to come and have some fun.
Ed, thank you very much for participating in these videos. It's been greatly appreciated having the opportunity to interview you. Thank you.
No problem at all. You're welcome.
Cheers.